Ukraine seems to understand its theory of victory, which is to grind down the Russians in their economic capacity. That means hitting oil wells and oil depots, as well as hitting factories and now also hitting power supply to Moscow. Now, power supply to, to not just Moscow, but to places in Russia is kind of a one-to-one, but it's also creating problems for them to be able to run their oil depots and oil wells and things along those lines. Okay, let's look at what's happened day over day, and Ukraine just keeps coming. Let's look at this. It is Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. So if we go back just one day, there's a full video now of the attack on Russian Tuapse sea trade port, which appeared online. It looks like the damage that was caused not last night, but the night before was quite extensive. Tuapse is one of the most significant oil terminals in Russia. So that's good to see that everything was what I reported yesterday. The 110 kilovolt substation in Rilsk, which was hit yesterday evening, caused blackouts across Rilsk and parts of other districts as well. And again, this is the new strategy. They keep doing these sort of things. And that was not yesterday, day before yesterday. And then we have also confirmed imagery of an oil spill into Kerch Strait at Port Kavkaz on the Taman Peninsula in Krasnodar region. The spill follows a fire on a tugboat in the port area on Sunday. And so that's just what's happened so far. Let's look at what happened last night. Lukoil's refinery in Tsovo caught fire overnight following a Ukrainian drone attack. Okay, so we're going after oil refineries, and we're going to go after petrochemical factories and things along those lines. Here, one of Russia's largest, this oil refinery is located in Novgorod Oblast, about 800 kilometers from Ukraine. They're able to hit pretty much at will where they want, unless it's heavily guarded, like around the ring around Moscow. Tsovo oil refinery had a rough night, and you can see some of the images here and the burning off in the distance. So, okay. Ukraine also struck the Sterlitamak petrochemical plant 700 miles from Ukraine. It's a major hub for refined oil products. Synthetic rubber is now burning. Multiple explosions were confirmed by local authorities, dealing a serious blow to Russia's energy and chemical industry. Again, it's either going after economic production, like oil refining capacity, that sort of thing, or going after the resources that are going into the Russian military apparatus, and they just keep coming. Local authorities claim that during a T attack, two UAVs, their debris fell in the area of an auxiliary workshop, not affecting operations. Sure. If that didn't affect operations, I'll eat my hat. That's and it's a T attack. Sure it is. And they shot it down, but the debris fell. And I wonder if anybody believes these reports, because they always report it this way. There was also another successful strike. Explosions reportedly in Dovzhansk in the Luhansk Oblast were captured on video. I just don't know what it is. Probably by tomorrow we'll know what was actually hit there. Okay, Russians are now, I saw this and I thought this was kind of funny. Russians are now helping Ukraine destroy their oil refineries. What? With refinery management refusing to protect them because of the confusion after strikes allows for looting of product and other corruption schemes, while the owners themselves make more from insurance than from refining. So if a drone hits a factory, the workers will loot, and the management turns a blind eye because, they're going to get more money from the insurance than from, worrying about that anyway. So, okay. Can't make this stuff up. And then Russians wake to news overnight of strikes destroying their oil refineries and petrochemical plants. The language among Russian news reports stands out. Ukraine strikes Russia's war funding apparatus. Those strikes are T attacks. But when Russians slam ballistic missiles into apartment buildings full of sleeping families in Ukraine, those are strategic. And let's talk about that. What happened night overnight? Ukraine repelled an overnight air attack, one Iskander, 6 S 300s, and 130 attack drones. Air defenses downed or jammed 92 drones. That's not a great ratio, but this kind of thing happens day over day. And so, just to Jay and Kiev's point here about how it's strategic, what were the strategic things that they hit? Russia attacked the Dnipropetrovsk and Odessa regions last night and hit them pretty hard. The Dnipropetrovsk region, Russian missile and drone strike killed a 65-year-old woman and injured 8 people, including 2 children. A 15-year-old boy will be treated on an outpatient basis. A 5-year-old girl and 2 adults were hospitalized in serious conditions. So what they hit: a cafe store, a private house, a car caught fire, 12 houses were damaged. That's what they classify as strategic. In Nikopol area was attacked with FPV drones, artillery, Grad multiple launch rocket systems. 3 men aged 43, 51, and 52 were injured. An ambulance was damaged. Odessa region came under 2 waves of massive drone attacks last night. Civilian, port, and energy infrastructure were targeted. The energy infrastructure here is about the only thing, maybe the port. Energy infrastructure is the only thing that could possibly be considered strategic, but this is how Russia does. Okay. Kyiv Post journalist is asking Zelensky whether Ukraine has reached its goal of producing 3,000 missiles in 2025. The president said that Ukraine is already using new missiles and expects mass production by the end of the year without disclosing the numbers. That doesn't sound like a yes, but when Ukraine has these homegrown missiles, the game changes in a significant way. I mean, it really, really does. You're asking for Tomahawks, and Tomahawks would be awesome. But when Ukraine has missiles that are hard to defeat and they're homegrown, Russia's in trouble. Okay, ICTV showcased Ukraine's newest AI-powered drones designed to intercept Shahed drones up to 100 kilometers away. Built with radar integration and auto attack capabilities, each costs $5,000 to $10,000, which is a great deal less than the Shahed drones. Another feature innovation is a FPV drone armed with gun cartridge barrels and AI targeting, already in use in Kharkiv and Donetsk. The Third Army Corps has also developed a Dolphin Spider, not dolphin like the swimming fish, but Dolphin Spider, a codified signal relay drone enabling kamikaze UAV strikes over 50 kilometers deep into enemy territory. So a drone that's a repeater that allows other drones to go further. That's the idea. Okay. What happened on the battlefield day over day? I was going to talk about Procross, and there was this great article by Phillips O'Brien. Maybe I'll just do that as a separate standalone, explaining things about Procross, but I just don't want to be that take that much time, and it would double the length of this video. So I'm not going to do that here, but look for that because Procross is really hard. 840 Russians off the battlefield, 5 tanks, 1 armored fighting vehicle, 42 artillery systems, 93 vehicles and fuel tanks day over day. The Procross direction, in spite of the low numbers here of 840 Russians off the battlefield, 57 assaults. That's very high given this low number here. Okay, Russian forces, this is the ISW, continue to advance in the Procross direction and appear to be operating with increasing comfort within Procross itself. Other key takeaways: Ukrainian forces continue defensive efforts and counterattacks in the Procross direction. Ukrainian forces have liberated significant portion of the Russian penetration into Dobropilya direction on the eastern flank of the Pokrovsk effort. Ukrainian forces cut off the Russian salient east of the Dobropilya. Remember the bunny ears, right? Likely generating tactical effects on Russia's efforts to encircle the Ukrainian pocket near Pokrovsk. Okay, so the effort there is, as I understand it, calculated to take some of the pressure off of Pokrovsk, forcing the Russians to redeploy over to Dobropilya. I don't know if that's going to work, but I understand that is the strategy. Okay, here's a modified T-72B3 tank equipped with a TMTK mine trawl. It was destroyed near Ivanopilya, Donetsk region. The tank hit an anti-tank mine. It was disabled and then finished off by FPV drones using cumulative charges. The vehicle was completely destroyed. And then when we're looking at what's going on the battlefield, this lightest line here is the year 2025. So the darker it is, the older it is. And you see that the number of attack or the number of Russian losses has ticked up into 2024, and then it dropped in 2025. It was at 15 and 12, then 13 and 12, then 11, then 10, then 10, then 9, and now it's from 931 to 950 to 1008. It's slowly creeping back up with an average of about 1,000 a day, roughly. Okay. And again, Pacross is part of this effort of why it's picking back up. Enemy drones try to spy or hunt, and here we are, some Zala and Lancet and Supercam drones being knocked out of the sky. Again, I could watch these kind of things all day as these drones are being hunted down and then knocked down. Okay. Now, this is an interesting story. To understand what Russians are, give 1 minute of your time to watching Russians murder this couple and their dog. Okay, I'm not going to show it to you. It's the kind of thing that if you watch, you want to like wash out your brain. A man knows what's coming after watching his wife and his dog killed, again, by FPV drones, marks a sign of the cross, and then is killed himself. Now, the Russians put this out claiming that the Ukrainians did this to just a couple walking down the street, and they're making a lot of propaganda value out of it, claiming that it's the Ukrainians. It turns out, as far as I can detect, and there's multiple sources now saying this is Ukrainian. I don't know who actually did this thing. I know that the couple and their dog are dead, and it's out of character for the Ukrainians to be doing this. So I would lean toward that it's Russians putting this out as a false flag. And they've been known to do things like that. Excuse me, they do this kind of thing fairly regularly in Kherson. And then they also lie about things like Russia's going full speed into producing ridiculous AI videos to aid their failing war efforts, reaching new levels of absurdity. Few Russian fakes from just the past few days circulating on social media, with some not even removing the Sora watermark. Okay, so these are fakes of these Ukrainians surrendering. And it looks, I mean, again, AI can produce pretty remarkable video. This is Sora. So, I mean, the lady looks real, right? I mean, this is the kind of thing that they could actually create. And they're doing that with fakes of Ukrainians surrendering. And it's for propaganda value. Okay, finally, last thing we're going to look at before I get to Darth Putin. Let's check on the guy that sells homes of murdered Ukrainians on Instagram for local gangsters in Russian-occupied Ukraine. This home comes with all personal belongings, including a suitcase of old family paintings and photographs. And he's showing things around the house. And look what we can sell for such a cheap price. Well, you know, when you get the house for essentially free, and there's a suitcase, when you get the house for free because people abandon it because they don't want to die. And he's showing all the amenities in the house and how wonderful it is. This is Russian culture. And so is this. That's Russian culture. That's what Russia is bringing to Ukraine. All right, last little bit. This was a pro-Russian troll saying, how long will Zelensky last in Ukraine once he has to admit defeat? Less than 6 months? Well, this was back in November 3rd of 2023. And Darth Putin replied, new insult. May you screw up so bad that pro-Russian trolls think you're smart. They'll claim they never said which 6 months. Okay, I mean, that's where we are. Thank you, my friends, for your time. Thank you for the likes and the shares and the subscribes. And thank you for being the kind of person who cares about Ukraine.